G'day people, welcome to Perth WAtch, your horology channel broadcasting from right here in Perth, Western Australia. Today I have a new piece from a new brand I've never heard of before. I think it's or Akheilos. They don't actually tell me how to pronounce it, but let me know if you know this. I actually don't know how it's meant to be pronounced nor what the original language is. So this is the box. Faux leather, fairly pleasant, I suppose. Not very spinnable because it's got a little bit of grip in there. Warranty card. No manual for this particular three-hander date, and I don't think most of you guys don't actually need one. But it does come with quite a few accessories, extra straps and whatnot. So this is all pretty pleasant. And in terms of a package, it's fairly inclusive in terms of how much they actually pack in here. And I will go through the little bits and pieces, including the straps. It actually comes with the black one, but I put it on this one because I just think it goes so well. I've really enjoyed it. It does also come with tools, spring bar and screwdriver for you to do adjustments. So lots of stuff that they have packed into this little package, which is really quite pleasant, in terms of how much accessory they are giving. Right, so showing you guys the watch in closer detail. This is the Akheilos Abyss Planet Ocean 500 meter Homage. I'm going to call it the Akheilos Planet Ocean VO4, but they call it the Abyss. I think this clearly is homaging one of the famous Omega models. I'll just put it side by side here in case there is any doubt. Let me know what you think in terms of the homage closeness. All right, in terms of MSRP, $359 on the website as we speak. I suspect they frequently will give discounts on this, and it probably, fairly will sell below 300, but 359 is the listed MSRP. Moving on to the movement, as I usually do, of course. First up, this is no surprise, I think, to many of you. It is the NH35A. Many watches have featured probably the most common Japanese movement ever in terms of homages, third-party watches, and whatnot. The accuracy, in terms of the regulation of this particular specimen is slightly slow. So it's running slightly slow at about -7 seconds per day in the week I've had this running. If I was going to keep this long term, I probably will open it and regulate it to plus instead of minus. That's usually the preference that I have. Moving on then, right? Enough of that. The date window I will just quickly mention, of course, is a white disc with black writing. Nothing too special there at the 3 o'clock position. Case-wise, it is a 42.5 millimeter case. So if I measure right between my thumb and forefinger there, it's 42.5 millimeters. It's an asymmetric case, exactly like the Omega would be. So good on them for making an asymmetric case. Hopefully you guys can appreciate that there. If you measure the bezel alone, it's 40 millimeters. So bezel alone 40 millimeters, which is why on the website it might say 40 millimeters. The thickness, right, from the case back to the top of the sapphire is 14.5 millimeters. So that's reasonable, I think, if you're going to go for a full 500 meters, as this watch has done. 22 millimeter lug width, so wider lugs than expected for a watch of 40 millimeter bezel. So it's going to take slightly wider straps, but I think proportionately it doesn't look too bad. If you look at how that strap sits on this watch, lug to lug distance, it won't surprise many that this is 48 millimeters, which is a very common lug to lug length, especially for watches of this size. The overall weight, look, on NATO type straps like this one, only 108 grams, including this particular strap that it comes with. If you put it on the rubber is slightly more substantial, slightly thicker, of course, is 116 grams. And if you go to the full stainless steel strap, this is 153 grams when adjusted for me. Of course, if you have a larger wrist, it might be slightly heavier than that. Right, moving on then. So the finishing on the case here is actually all polished on the top, right? If you look at the lugs here, there's no differential here. So, that twisted lug is very fairly done. It's very Omega, but it's just polished there, polished at the top, polished at the sides. They haven't gone for differential finishing, except of course where that 500 meter sits there. In case you don't know, they just want to let you know this is a 500-meter watch. Right, the case back, I'm just going to slip this out to show it to you guys, right, is actually circular brushed. Okay, and the bottom of the lugs as well as circular brush. Okay, then it's got that nice kind of a diving motif there. So solid screw down case back. It's got a sign crown, which is of course a watch like this will be also screw down, right, for that A-type symbol there. 500-meter water rating in case you haven't heard that mentioned a few times already. Moving on to the dial then. Okay, so what we have here is a black dial. In the middle, it's got a sun ray or sunburst type of finishing, and then it's got a satin black around where the indices sit. So dual finishing there. It's got applied indices, so you can see the 12 kind of applied indices, smaller indices where the compass numerals are around the dial there. It's got printed compass numbers in that nice orange, as well as other details that are all printed on here, but you do have those applied indices. The handset here is an arrow handset, as you can see there. The white for the large hour hand, orange for the minute hand, and just a simple white for the seconds as well. And I love that they have multiple orange highlights that you can see here. That adds quite a bit of color to this dial. The loom is BGW9 in all the usual spots, as well as a full loom bezel, and of course a loom shot right here for you guys to see how it looks like in the dark. Okay, on top of the dial is a flat sapphire crystal with a slight raised edge here. It's got fairly decent anti-reflective coating, I think, right, in terms of my experience here. Surrounding that 120 click unidirectional dive style bezel with a full loom ceramic insert. Let's listen to it now. Fairly pleasant. 10 clicks there. Minimal black plate, and it's pretty nicely feeling actually. It's firm enough, very little black play, and yeah, it's pretty well done, I have to say. This particular bezel is that 12 o'clock. My OCD viewers will tell me. Now I've just going to stick to it, okay? Just going to put it at 12 this time, not going to irritate you with an offset placed bezel. Moving on to the bracelets then and the straps there. Okay, so this is is a VARIO strap, and I really love it, but this isn't the original strap. I do think that this watch lends itself very well to black or black and orange straps. The great thing about NATO's, of course, is that you can change it very quickly on the fly. And just going to do this now in front of the camera. So, if you guys are new to NATO straps, you can see how nice, how pleasant it is to have NATO's where, in just a few seconds, you can change the look of your watch completely. And this is a dual pass NATO, of course, as you can see here. And that's how it looks like, okay? So this is a simple NATO. It's just black with brushed hardware there. I'm going to snap it on the wrist for a wrist shot for you guys now. And there we have it, the Akheilos Abyss VO4 500-meter watch on my 17-centimeter wrist on this black NATO. And that's exactly how it should look like, okay? So remember 14.5 millimeters on the thickness. With the NATO, it's going to ride a bit harder, higher because of double straps underneath. 48 millimeter lug-to-lug distance on this 40 millimeter bezel watch. Okay, so that's it on the black NATO. I'm not going to swap it live onto these other straps, but rather I will put screenshots or videos of how it looks like. So the next one I'm going to talk about is this orange perforated dive style strap. Fairly stylish, I suppose, but what I would say is that it is actually too large. I'm wearing it. Probably I need a hole right there to wear it. Or in fact, if I put it in this large one where it's not actually meant to be a hole, it's probably slightly too tight. So it actually is a bit too large, but just putting a shot here for you guys to see how this might look like on my wrist. Okay, so moving on then. So this is the steel bracelet that they've gone for. So this is the OEM style sharp mesh bracelet, and I say OEM because it looks like it's just come from a Chinese factory. They've just put their brand name on it. This is a pressed metal clasp, not very well done. It's actually probably a bit of cost cutting here, and not the most fine strap. You can see this doesn't really, want to twist very well, so the fitting is not the best here. So, this is probably my least favorite of all, even though I am usually a metal bracelet kind of guy, but hey, that's what it is. It is a sharp mesh bracelet, screw link adjustment, and it's got a brush pressed steel buckle with 3-point micro adjustment there. Okay, that's what it is. If you prefer that, it's included in the package. Okay, so that's the entire description here. What are the things that I've liked about this watch? Look, I think it's actually quite a nicely executed Planet Ocean homage. I really think that's what it is. It's got fairly good casework. It's got a well done dial. This dial is really quite nice. I like the color balance. I like black and orange. I'm a bit of a sucker for that, color design. So, that's probably played into my preference here. Overall, I think it's a great looking watch with orange highlights, which really do play quite nicely into this. It's got all the expected specs, right? It's got a Seiko movement. It's got a great loom, really quite good loom, ceramic, bezel insert, sapphire crystal, whatnot, and the cherry on top, 500 meter superlative water rating, as if any of us will ever need that. A very pleasant reduced size, I would say. Planet Oceans are usually larger than this. This has gone for a 40 millimeter bezel, which is a very nice size for many guys, can carry this as opposed to like a 45 millimeter Planet Ocean. I wouldn't be able to carry it very easily. And they've given 3 strap choices from the get-go, so you can change it very easily to a different look. What are the weaknesses? At $360, some may feel that this is getting a bit steep, right? For a Homage watch with a Seiko NH35A, some will feel that it's a little bit steep, but that's somewhat offset with the quality that they offer. Really quite a good dial, 500 meter rating, and 3 included straps. Maybe you might feel that makes it kind of more okay. I think the case finishing could have been better, right? It's done okay, but they really need some differential finishing to really lift this up. Omega usually do a polish on that twist there, maybe brush on the side and the brush on the inner part here. They've gone for all polish, which is a little bit lazy, I think. But hey, it looks okay, but that's a definite easy lift there they could have done. And I would say again, I mentioned this already, this is a rather poor OEM sharp mesh bracelet. They could have done better, but maybe that would have pushed the budget a bit higher. And then the rubber strap I've also mentioned is too big. This is too big, right? For a 40 millimeter watch, they really needed to make those adjustment holes closer to the middle here. That's my opinion. My wrist is not very small. It's kind of average, and that strap is too large for me. Okay, there we go. That's my thoughts on this watch. Let me know what you think about this. Keen to hear, what you guys find, what you think, what you reckon, and if you've ever heard of Akheilos or have any of their brands watches, let me know in the comments below. Thank you for sticking with me again, and I'll catch you guys next time.